eating, right? That'll be the day. Nope, things are going well. I've got some substrate I can move over. I've got rye grain berries that need to be relieved of duty. I sterilized some master's mix last night. I've got lion's mane coming out. Oyster mushrooms coming out. I am spent. Thought I got sick there for a minute. I think it was reflected in my YouTube shorts. I think I may have gotten the vid because it was kind of like a head cold or something, but I'm on the mend and figuring out the CO2 stuff. Plans for a 10 by 10 tent are in the works. I got the tape down, wiped everything, figuring out some tech stuff, sent back a camera, was busted. Let me get some gloves here. I'll just keep them on. I got a scale that needs batteries. I am, bumping right along. I think, some of these last couple of YouTube shorts have just been like eating mushrooms, but, or harvesting. I've been plucking oyster mushrooms out. I can take a peek there and see if those are sprouting. I do believe they are. I'm hoping, so I got the CO2 dialed in much better. Oh yeah, look at these. Lovely. So the humidifier is going to get mad at me because it's going to be perpetually on, but we got some oyster mushrooms coming out there. So my last cluster had some die off. These are looking solid. So within two to 3 days, these should be cruising. It's pretty impeccable how fast. Here, I'll show you the lion's mane that's fruiting. Little inconsistency with some of the bags on delay, but I had a carbon dioxide issue. So, I mean, the growth is it looks a little funky, but we're gonna give it by a year though. This is brand new, coming out. It's pretty low. So here's the deal, and I saw some people join, so bring out the blue oyster mushrooms real fast. I've got some substrate I got to work with. So there's the blue oyster mushrooms, right? And so these will be full blown pretty soon. So some inconsistencies with everything fruiting on time. I got maybe a dozen bags in here. So the name of the game is carbon dioxide removal, hands down. This has been the most challenging aspect. Humidity, that's pretty easy, but I mean, I'm gonna have to get to a point where I'm having almost constant. I got the lion's mane. Okay, here, hold on. Almost constant CO2 removal. So I'm gonna have to, I replaced the ultrasonic humidifier with something a little bit more industrial. They have kind of a shelf life. So this is my lion's mane so far. So it's starting to look a little corally, and but we'll see how this pans out. This is just coming out. So we'll give it a shot. And it looks like this is the second harvest on this bag, but it's a little pink, which I don't think, it's not contaminated. But like I said, if I'm not getting the CO2 out of here, it gets weird, and it gets weird fast. So this thing's gonna yell at me. Since I opened the door so much, the humidifier is gonna go into hyper mode. And it's going to shoot it to 100%, and then I'm going to do all that. So I've got some rye-grain berries that have been colonized. They need to go somewhere. I sterilized some substrate, which I will. So I'll move the rye-grain berries over to the substrate, back into the incubation chamber, and then into the fruiting tent. So the mushroom garage is looking up. I've actually put some tape down, so I'm going to upgrade. I have not done king oyster. In due course. Like I said, the name of the game is CO2 removal at this point. That's been my biggest obstacle. Yeah, I got some tape down here. I'm gonna build a 10 by 10 tent. A 10 by 10 tent. And this is a 3 by 4. I'm gonna go 10 by 10. This thing's gonna be huge. So that'll be my next live stream. I'll do that next weekend, where I build the monster tent. I'm gonna drill a hole through the garage wall, and I'm gonna create essentially an exhaust. Oh, wow. Port. And yeah, that'll be it. And then I will not have any more CO2 issues. We're gonna be cruising out here. I ordered a 6-inch inline fan, and so we'll kill it from there. Let me get some stuff. So let me get some rye-grain berries out here that I'm working with. Like I said, so I let these go a little bit long. So that's reishi. What did I break up last night? I did way over colonized. So here's some blue oyster mushroom berries. Let's see. Oh gosh, more blue oyster berries. So I overdid this. Another lesson learned in mushroom farming is that you don't need a lot of rye-grain berries. So they can go pretty fur. And like, look at this. This is reishi. So there's no way I'm gonna need all this. I've got 6 bags of sterilized master's mix substrate. And, but I need room here. And yeah, so my workflow is not totally dialed in. You know, let's see here. This looks nice. This is lion's mane. All right, so I've got lion's mane, blue oyster mushroom, and reishi. Way more colonized grains than I need. Let me get some substrate out. Turn on the laminar flow hood. Do this. I can show some people my what I got going on right now. Just coming in. So my batting average is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But again, like I said, it's mostly a CO2 removal. Here's some blue oyster mushrooms coming out, right? Look at all those pins. I lost a lot of them last time, just simply because CO2, it kind of grew a little funny. They weren't as blue as I wanted. And I'll show you the lion's mane. This one's, and then I get like little microclimates in the tent, right? So some parts of the tent. So this is the lion's mane that's coming out right now. And I'll definitely know, this one will tell me about the environment of the tent. I found that lion's mane, it'll yell at me. It'll grow like a coral. It'll have holes. So I've got a light in there that might not be the correct light, but it's where we're at. It's really just the little things. Let me get the sterilized substrate. Yeah. So, you know, I said it last time, but I'm right there. You know, I think I've got it all dialed in. Of course, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get a 10 by 10 tent, and then I'm going to have a whole new set of issues. But it's really the small things. It's just the smallest of adjustments. And but if anyone's going to grow mushrooms, like my number one thing to look at would be carbon dioxide removal. That's the beast. So let me get. Well, what am I doing that for? Holy moly! Yeah, I've just been exhausted the last couple of days. I think I had the vid. Felt like it. Had that weird thing, so. But I'm on the mend. Yeah, so recent upgrades. New. Oh. All right. Let's just. The. Oh, is that a Stargate reference? I'm getting those a lot lately. We got a new pinball arcade, and I saw the Stargate one, and I thought, well, due to the comments on YouTube, or I might need to start playing that. Got a bit of a pinball habit forming. So it's a nice day out there, but I do need to get this done. This is I'm almost looking forward to an Alaska winter again, but. All right, so this is Master's Mix Substrate. 15 PSI, 90 minutes yesterday. Let it cool overnight. It's not hot by any means. It's not cold either, that's for sure. And then, holy moly. Well, let me show you what I got, and then I'll get to my project. Yeah, I'm feeling run down. I think I had something last week. And then I was making YouTube shorts, and they were kind of just mediocre, and I thought, gosh, what's wrong with me? What happened? This is my blue oyster mushrooms right here. Okay? These are going to be good. I say it every time, but I think I'm there. I upped the CO2 removal. Might have to turn this puppy. These things grow incredibly fast. We're talking probably harvest in 2 to 3 days. Cooked some last night, tossed it in olive oil, a little salt and pepper. So I got the laminar flow hood going. I'll plug in the impulse heat sealer. Excuse me. Oh gosh. All right. Yeah, just a lot of fatigue. Slept well. Should have made some coffee. So I've got colonized rye grain berries. I would argue overly colonized. Some of these I forgot to break and shake. They got to go somewhere. Way more than I need. I think that's been something I've learned too, is that I don't need as many rye grain berries for substrate, for grain to substrate transfer. Okay, well, let's see which one looks the best. Done a lot of, let's go blue. Let's go blue. So I broke this up last night. Like I said, it was just kind of way over colonized, way on the top. I'm even kind of concerned that the rye grains might be a little bit mushy, but they're holding together. Long story short, it's time. It's time to do what needs to be done. Being a little obnoxious with the rubbing alcohol here, but we gotta. I did have a reishi contamination, but the big, and I do want to start doing more deep dives into my failures. I just cut the top right off, and it left a lot of exposure. So I'm just going to go back to slits. And then, you know, the lion's mane likes a good slit. I think the blue oyster is a little bit more forgiving. And then ultimately, if I keep the humidity up, and if I get the CO2 out of there, that's the big one. If I get the CO2 out, that's the culprit. That's been the issue. I've blamed it on everything else until I finally admitted carbon dioxide is ruining it. So, way too many rye grain berries here. An issue I ran in with rye grain berries was I was adding too much gypsum during the soak, and I think it made it acidic. So I would recommend being fairly exact with your gypsum addition. So yeah, it's pretty. I'll open this puppy up. Gonna go with the pour. Doesn't need a lot. All right, that'll be plenty, you know. I think, you know, what am I hearing? A 5-pound bag of rye grain berries could do maybe 20 Masters Mix substrate. Let's get this in here. I've got the impulse heat sealer at about a 5.5. Arguably, it could be lowered even a little bit more, but that is a nice, crisp seal, okay? So, the process continues, the circle of life. Colonized rye grain berries, Masters Mix substrate. This is gonna be a blue oyster bag. It's going back into the incubation chamber, right? Not too long, maybe 2 weeks in there, if that. Okay, it'll colonize a block. And then we got blue oyster mushrooms coming out, right? And so this is about 2 days since I saw it come out of the hole. And it's gonna be another 2 days before we are looking at full-blown mushrooms. I'm roughly looking at a 6-week process from beginning to end before I can have the product. So, whew, all right. Okay. To control. Oh wow, look at that chunk. All right. So I need to have a calendar it's workflow, you know? I mean, there's just, oh gosh. Come on. You know what? I'm gonna say that's enough. That's enough. I end up dumping it in there. I'm gonna break that piece up a little bit. I'll mix these together. Another thing that I've been encountering is a lot of times the top 2/3 of the bag will colonize first, and then I get a lot of unutilized substrate down here. So I'm trying to figure out strategies for a complete mixing technique, you know, and maybe it starts with what I'm doing right now. Another big piece of the puzzle, label and date everything. See, so it's just this giant workflow. I forget what it is. So blue oyster mushroom, what's today's date? 19? I think. Okay, well, we'll put the data on that later. 19, thank you. So, yeah, label and date everything. I need a calendar with just workflow because I'll forget about the ones in the incubation chamber. I'll be focused on fixing the tent. And then, you know, I'll have rye grain berries going, then I'll have master's mix going, and then I'll have to, everything's moving. It's like, just killer. And then I find just pointless projects to do, like painting walls. So, but next week, I got, the big project is, I'm moving to a 10 by 10 tent. I'll do a live stream of me building that thing. That'll be a real nail biter. Oh, I was gonna do differently this time. Let me, I'll do it the next bag. I got 3 more bags to do here and then. But it's funny, everything was going really great. I had a bunch of lion's mane going. And I don't know if I was just opening the tent door a lot or if there weren't that many bags in there. But for whatever reason, everything turned on me. And then my impulse heat, what do you call the vaporizer, the ultrasonic humidifier broke down, just was not producing. And then I realized I had a CO2 issue. So I started moving the CO2 out, which decreased the humidity. And I'm gonna get more bulk substrate bags here. So the more CO2 I moved out, the more humidity I was losing, the more strained my ultrasonic humidifier became. And then I started traumatizing the mushrooms, right? Because I would have the CO2 would get out of there, but then the humidity would drop. Oh, I had, so the reishi was contaminated, but I did save some of the tiny little conch things. I'll show you when it's appropriate to handle. And then the light I put in there, I think is a little bit not on the spectrum. So we are, well, here, let me show you. Everybody's on the spectrum except for my light. So there we go. There's the blue oyster mushroom if you're just coming in, right? And so effectively that's what we're doing here. Or a piece of the puzzle. Boy, so hopefully all the Hopefully all the rubbing alcohol was evaporated off my hands before I touched it. Yeah, so they're sensitive little buggers. Yeah, so this is a growing tent. I mean, people grow plants in them. And I forgot the brand that I ordered. I had a big old conversation with my AI thing about it. So, but it's gonna be a 10 by 10 tent. I ordered new lights for it. I'm gonna use, I ordered a new fan to exhaust CO2. My humidifier, which I keep forgetting how to say, will be on constant overhaul. I'll have ducting going throughout with little slits. So the vapor will just kind of rain down. The CO2 is going to go out the wall. I'm going to drill a hole through the garage. Haven't told the roommates yet. And yeah, the new lighting, the exhaust, the humidification, the size. I'm going to build a platform. I'm going to build a 10 by 10 platform that I can roll around. So I've got some tape down right now, actually, just to kind of have a bearing. But it's going to be pretty substantial. So yeah, everything's happening so fast, you know. I clean it regularly, and I do have I'm using these demineralizer tablets I'm putting in there, and but I think that's more to demineralize. Yeah, you're gonna have slime. So Old Blue, I'll show you Old Blue before he passed away or retired. So this is Old Blue. Gotta wash my hands again now. So this is Old Blue. I built this during COVID, and that was my humidifier. So now we've gone to this deluxe system. I'm gonna build another one. And especially when I get the 10 by 10 tent going, because I want unprecedented amounts of vapor in there, because with the amount of exhaust that I'm going to be pumping out, oh, it's angry at me. Okay, so this is what happens when I open the tent too much. The sensor goes so low, the humidifier goes crazy, and now it's like at 99.9. So my humidifier detector, okay, the fan's running on the top. It'll stop getting pissed, I hope. There, okay, that's obnoxious. So that only happens when I really decrease it, and then it really surges for a bit. So, boy, it's tough, man. Recreating nature is like more tedious, and it becomes very apparent. You should see, I mean, the lion's mane, it gets funky. So here, let me do something here. Okay, so like I said before, gosh, I don't really want to do this, but let's just move. Let's move this. I'm kind of experimenting here. So a big thing is that a lot of times it's hard for me to mix the grains in, and it ends up colonizing the top 2/3. So let's just, maybe this will help. Whoa. Maybe this will help with me being able to disperse the grains more evenly. And so, And then a lot of times, it'll start crawling up towards, God, I did not like that, but it worked. All right, that worked. And a lot of times the mycelium will start crawling up towards the filter patch, looking for oxygen. So it's looking for oxygen, and it's got all the humidity that's trapped in the bag. So if the tent doesn't have enough high humidity, it's just going to stay in here and start growing around. This is blue oyster mushrooms. I've got some fruiting in scent right now. I also have lion's mane. Let me bring you both out those real quick. This is what I end up doing. I'm gonna tick off the humidity detection device. So now I'm not an expert. I always have to use that caveat. That's my blue oyster mushrooms right here. Here's some lion's mane coming out, right? In the next couple of days, these are gonna be rocking and rolling. I'll keep you up to speed. Yeah, it's been a weird week. Like I said, I think I got the vid a while back. I was just kind of like, my head was feeling all. It's the last time I got the vid, I was like, what is this? I think I'm sick. I think there's something wrong. So I'll end up mixing this, but again, I think the objective here is that a lot of times it colonizes the top 2/3. All right, well, it happens. So I'll mark that one even. So I'm going to label it. I'm going to give it a little squiggle. Again, label all your bags. So, let's clean up a little bit. Yes, this is kind of taking over my life. I didn't realize what growing mushrooms does to you. It's, I go to work, I come home, I come out to the garage, or they got a new arcade downtown, so I've been doing a lot of pinball. Softball season's bumping. I had a good game the other day. Had some hero moments. We still lost. We're 0-11. But we're getting better. Really, we excel when they underestimate us, you know what I mean? Then they come in there, they're like, oh, we're going to squash these guys. And then we have a game. All right. Plenty. Even less is more nowadays. I need things to slow down. But it's really trial by error at this point. I think the last 2 batches, I thought I had it dialed in. I kept telling everybody I had it dialed in, and then something new would emerge. There's the, oh, it's pissed off at me again. Sorry about the beeping. It's a garage of dysfunction. So, all right. Wish I could just mute it, but maybe I'll lean this way. Well, look at me now. Is this thing dead? Let's get the fatty out. Oh my goodness, this is an error. Okay, won't miss that. Oh man. So, yeah, I'm not going to use anywhere near the ryegrain berries. Kind of doubling down on the blue oyster. Lion's mane, if you make any errors, is probably the most temperamental mushroom that I got going on. Reishi, a lot of fun. Well, here, let me show you the reishi, and I'll wash my hands afterwards, because it's like... Well, let me not. Let me not. Because it had a contamination issue, so maybe at the end here I'll show it to you when I'm not. I don't know if it's carrying. No, life is good. I feel like I'm dialing in. I've only been in the garage since February. A lot of cleaning. And gosh, why do I keep doing this? I'll just keep washing my hands over and over again. Yeah, the lion's mane will develop like a coral deformity. And yeah, it was really hard to pinpoint. So, yeah, like I said, 15 psi, 90 minutes. This is sterile substrate. I'm gonna stay seated. Yeah, I've just been tired. I've needed less ryegrain berries than I expected. Make sure you add the correct amount of gypsum. More is not better. It'll turn it acidic. Whew. Is this the busted one? Yeah. So, here, let me see what I got in the incubation chamber. I'll show you if I got any. Well, here's a good example of how this is an error right here. So, like, look at this. All right. This is what happens. I get the top 2/3 colonized, and then there's all this unutilized substrate on the bottom. And then the mushrooms are ready to go. They just forget about this. And now I got mycelium crawling up the sides, going for the filter patch. So I just need to fruit this. So you know what I'll do is I'll just kind of take the air out here, because it's perfectly fine doing weird stuff in this. I don't like to get too mean here, but I gotta take the air out. And then I'll just make 2 little dashes in here and see where we go from there. So hopefully it's not too committed to the thing, you know, to go into the filter patch. Maybe it'll change its ways. And then maybe, you know, if I shut down the patch as an accessible way to get air, it might even start utilizing some of the substrate down south here. So I'm going for 5-pound bags. And yeah, so let's see even. This guy's clean. So let me just kind of give this guy a little. All right, so I'm just doing little X's. Oh, wow, moisture coming out. Holy moly, yeah. Let me put this in here. Put it up top. If anyone's just coming in, I'll show you. What has been done today, where we're going with it. This is oyster mushrooms. That's like 50 or 60 of them. So we'll see how they survive, right? With my new CO2 exhaust system. Because right now I still do not have it running 24/7. I've got every 2 hours, it turns on for 30 minutes. And humidity, I'm set with that. So hopefully that's enough. CO2 drops to the bottom, but so does the humidity. So as I excavate the CO2, so too I lose humidity. The ultrasonic humidifier is a champion. I just got a new one. And so that's working out well. I'm going to buy a replacement. And I put that tent on a platform. And so when I build the 10 by 10, I've got tape lined out here. When I build the 10 by 10 this coming weekend, you got me all distracted now. With the 10 by 10 this weekend, I'm going to build a platform, and I'll put it on there. So that'll be a thing. That'll be a project. And we got limited space. So the platform helps because it's, then I'll be able to move it around. And so, no, things are well. I think, yeah, it's been a while. But I'm in too deep now. I'm in too deep. I'm well. Clean and clear exterior. So the project's gotten out of hand. This is all I do. I go to work, I come to the garage, and I work on my mushrooms. 10 by 10? Oh gosh. I think I'm talking 100 bags? Oh, hey, Angie. Yeah. I think I'm going to get 100 bags, maybe 1.5 pounds a piece, maybe a week. I don't know, maybe 500 pounds of mushrooms a month. So, no, not really, not anymore. I got too much to do. I got too much going on. I got to buy a new dryer for the house. I got to fix a fan in the bathroom. I'm buying 6 tons of D1 rock so I can put the perimeter of the property. Mushroom projects, constant. 40 hours at the hospital a week. I've been trying to work out, hit the gym. I've got a pinball addiction that I'm dealing with. Yeah, but I'm right there. I'm right there. So, no, all is well. I wanted to touch base. Next week, I'll be doing the 10 by 10 tent build. In the next couple of days, the oyster mushrooms, we'll see if they're working out. If I get Harry Potter. I got the scientist from Stargate. Back in the day, I'm getting a little older, but I used to get Jesse Pinkman. People used to think I looked like Jesse Pinkman. They would stop me on the bus and ask me and tell me I look like Jesse Pinkman. So he had a man with a drug problem, so I didn't know if that was it. But then, yeah, there we go. I'm hoping to do, that would be fun. Down the line, future goals, slants. I'm going to convert a freezer to a refrigerator. I'm going to have slants. I'm going down south with a buddy of mine, and I emailed a farm because I was like, well, I spent all this money on plane tickets. And I said, can I come by and make YouTube videos? And they were like, absolutely. And so now, I'm thinking about doing farm tours. Farm tours, slants, where am I at? The 10 by 10 tent. And then hopefully I can start selling to the co-op here in town. So I think September, October maybe is a good goal. We might be cruising. We might be cruising. So if I can get it down, scalability. Everything at this point is highly scalable. If I can just lock it in, if I can just say, oh, it works, it's really, I can grow as many as I need to grow. So yeah, I'm just battling some exhaustion, I think. Yeah, workflow, calendar, everything else will just come in time. So, well, thank you for joining me on this part of the process, right, of growing blue oyster mushrooms. Let me bring them out one last time for a farewell tour, and then I'm going to leave them alone. Last thing I need to do is jack them up. That might have been what happened with the reishi. Oh, I'll show you the reishi things after this. They're hardly, oh shit. So, I'm gonna piss off the humidifier, but yep. So we got the blue oyster mushrooms here coming out. This is my lion's mane coming out. This one will tell me if the humidity or the CO2 is not doing well, right? So, because it will grow, it'll be all jacked up. Still edible, but aesthetically strange. Yeah, so I've got lots coming down the pike. In the next week or two, we're gonna be rocking. Here, let me show you the rishis. I didn't want to bring these out because the substrate did get contaminated. But I pulled off these little baby conchs, right? So aren't they adorable? So with the reishi, I want to make tinctures. So they kind of have, they're hard and nubby. And yeah, that was the reishi. So definitely, it was a contamination issue. What I ended up doing was I cut the bag off at the top entirely because they weren't fruiting. And I thought, well, they don't know where the humidity is. They kept crawling up the bag. So I said, well, I'm just going to cut it off. They still hung around the perimeter, which tells me there's still a humidity issue. But I think ultimately, the mushroom wasn't fruiting because the CO2 in the tent was too high. And that can't be. It needs free air exchange in order to initiate pinning and know where to go. So, and that wasn't happening. And then I increased free air exchange. The humidity dropped. So CO2 decreased. So did the humidity, traumatizing them. And then they ended up growing around the perimeter. And then because I clear cut the bag, it increased surface area contamination. So, we're figuring it out. Yep. And I think once I get the 10 by 10, Oh, please, that sounds pretty spammy. I am actually in Sitka, Alaska. So I'm the only mushroom game in town. And I'm just going to keep uploading content to YouTube to ensure that that stays the way it is. So a lot of mushroom people around here. I think I'm the only guy with a setup indoors. A lot of foraging around the corner. So I'll get out there and take some photos. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm getting my system down. Let me turn this fan off. Yeah, so stay tuned. Next week I'll set up the 10 by 10. We'll see if the CO2 exhaust system works. And in the next couple of days, the blue oyster mushrooms should be complete. The lion's mane will tell us if we're, there it goes, it's getting mad at me. So, and that's only because I've been opening the tent. So, that is all she wrote. I will part ways with you here shortly. I appreciate everyone's support. It means the world. And this has been a life that, well, it's been a dream for quite a while. And now that I'm here, I am really exhausted. So, but little by little, and I'll get these bags in the incubation chamber. I think that's it. I think that's it. That's all I got today. It's sunny out. I need to get outside. So, no, never even heard of it. When in doubt, leave it out. Farewell, everyone. Have a lovely evening. It's sunny in Alaska, so I do need to get outside and walk around. And but stay tuned this weekend. More material coming. Are you the guy that has flatulence? Is that you? Wow. Keep it to yourself. All right. Catch you guys later. Be well. Stay safe.